You're listening to the Creepy Kingdom Podcast Network,
covering and creating all things creepy.
Visit creepykingdom.com to get access to all of our articles, videos, and podcasts. Join our Patreon for exclusive content. Patreon.com/creepykingdom. Now it is time to open up the gates. Creepy Kingdom proudly presents The Dark Theme Park Show.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Dark Theme Park Show. I'm your host, Mr. James H. Carter II, joined by Florida Man Grant.
Sir, Florida Man.
Sir, I'm sorry not to disrespect your title. Sir,
yeah.
You have been knighted in Florida. I just made up that phrase, Florida dumb. Sounds appropriate, but
yeah.
Anyways, I digress. So yeah, we're kind of chiming back in on the topic of the day. I mean, most of the content that we've been producing over the past month or so has definitely been a form of escapism, as just to give people something else to think about and listen to or watch and just kind of check out from reality that we couldn't have even predicted would bring us to the point we're at now. But I thought
we will get back to that too. We will.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah.
No, we will, but I don't know. But I thought it'd be interesting to kind of take a look and see like where we're at now with the theme parks, what the future holds, kind of speculate on that, and also Grant is in the process of trying to alter his summer vacation plans, and I'm sure a lot of other people are or about to, or trying to figure out what they should do. So I thought it'd be interesting to kind of have Grant, walk us through that, because we all know Grant can't sit still for very long. So this quarantine must be like being in jail for you.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, not really in jail, because I'm pretty sure in jail they don't have like Netflix,
not yet,
and stuff like that. There's not, there's no access to McDonald's or Burger King in jail. But yeah, still, I get your point. Like, it's weird. Like, I can't go to the movies. I can't do any of these things that you do normally every day that you don't think about. And I live 3 hours from Disney World. And I try to go about at least once a month. Mm-hmm. And it's strange, that this is the longest since I've had my annual pass, which, by the way, is now like a completely worthless item. Actually, I've had that for about 6 years now that I haven't been.
Well, let's talk about that real quick. I don't know it's so hard to keep up with all this stuff. I don't know what happened with Walt Disney World. I think it's the same, but Disneyland actually offered a few options for the annual pass. At first, they were continuing payments, but extending the length of the annual pass past, adding on to the end of it for how long the park is closed. And that was really hitting a lot of people in some really tough spots when those automatic payments were coming through. And so,
yeah.
Like people that lost their jobs and all of a sudden, they have $100 in their bank account for the next week. And then, Disneyland annual passes start coming through. That's a tough spot. So they came up with a few options at Disneyland. Did they do that for Walt Disney World as well?
They did. And I think it's kind of being played based on the situation. Like right now for me, we were actually up for renewal in the middle of March. But obviously that's not happening. I haven't gotten any paperwork in or anything like that. So what's happening with it is they told us that they're just going to add the number of days that we lost onto the back end. But I mean, granted, for me, that's only going to be a few weeks.
Right. And then, but you still have time to renew once the parks are open, basically. So you're just kind of paused right now is what you're saying.
Exactly, but I mean, even then, I'm wondering what the situation is going to be like with pass holders when they do reopen, because like I'm sure we'll get into that later, but how the parks are going to reopen and if it's going to be significantly smaller crowds, what the impact of pass holders is going to be. So I mean, it's hard. It's everything's conjecture at this point. Everybody's guessing. Everybody's thinking things. I mean, like it's been so strange. I mean, we got Bob Iger back. I mean, like we had like that because it's like you can't give the new guy. I mean, not that he's a new guy. He was head of Parks and Operations, but like, hey, good luck trying to get yourself out of this mess.
Yeah, no, I actually would love to talk about that topic. Maybe we could dive into a little bit later about the reclaiming of the throne, and but right now I'm trying to find what the plans are. I'm just going to go off the top of my head. I'm sorry, gang, for Disneyland. So the options, which I'm going to be dealing with this next week, so I have to make my decision because I think this next week is when my pass is about to be charged again. You can cancel your pass, like just say I don't want to go anymore, I'm not going to pay anymore, I'm done. Like, which you could never do. You could never cancel your pass until the year's up and not pay anymore. So that's the first time they've ever offered that option. The other option is that you could just keep paying, and they'll just add it on later. And then the third option, which is I believe the one that I'm going to go with, is that you pause payments, and then you resume payments when the park opens, and your pass is still as good as long, that much longer as the parks were closed. And that's the one that makes the most sense to me.
And that's what I'm doing over here in Florida is they pause the payments. I didn't get hit with that charge. Same with Universal, because I have a Universal pass as well. So for my wife and I, between Disney and Universal, that's about $160, $170 a month between the two of those. Mm-hmm. And when you're not, when you're down, my wife is considered an essential worker. So when you're down to one income, that $160, $170, not that that's chump change, but that you definitely notice it a lot more.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, really, at a time like this, any annual pass payment is going to be a noticeable difference out of your bank account.
Yeah.
And you notice it because you're like, oh, that's a big chunk of money just gone, and I can't even use this pass. So, but as I said, there was a whole article that Orange County Register put out about all these people that were really impacted by having these automatic payments, because that's the issue, is that they're automatic. It's not like you have to go in and pay the bill or something like that. They just automatically hit that up. You can't stop it. And
then good luck trying to call, because everybody's calling and trying to figure out the same thing.
Right. It's a little chaotic, but I think offering these three options was the best choice. I mean, because offering the option to actually cancel it completely was a really fair thing to do, because a lot of people coming out of this are not, going to theme parks are not in the cards for them. Like they're.
But you may also have a small handful of people who are like, I'm going to California for school. I'm going to like USC or UCLA. Mm-hmm. I want an annual pass. I'm going to go back home in the summer. I'm going to go back to Montana or wherever they're from. And they have no need of those days at the very end.
Right, they're not coming back. Yeah, they thought they'd be using it over the spring, but obviously that's probably not going to happen. I don't think we're going to see a spring opening of the theme parks. I mean, I don't want to do too much speculation on this episode because we're just guessing. But based on where the state of what things have been going on, I don't think that the theme parks are going to open up until late summer. And even if that is true, are they even safe to go back to right away? Right? I mean, like, I guess that's the other question. It's like, how long after they reopen are you thinking that you're gonna, make the trek back?
Well, like, I know for me, I would probably go within a week or so because I miss that so much. But I think it also depends as to what capacity that they decide to open up everything. Like, here's the thing. Like, Brittany and I, we do a lot of character dining and stuff like that. And a lot of that's buffets. How is that going to work?
I think buffets are done, right?
I mean, rest in peace, Golden Corral.
Yeah.
No, like, but in all seriousness, how is it going to work where the characters come to your table? Or like, is Snow White going to be wearing a face mask? The other thing is, it's like, you go into like some 3D show, like let's pick, say, Muppet Vision 3D, and they say, please fill up all available space.
Yeah, not anymore.
You can't do that. And then the line, like the queues, the queues are not designed for people to be 6 feet apart all the time. And then let's say you're a party of, you have two parties of three, you're putting yourself in a vehicle, like let's say you're riding, not Space Mountain because that's different load system over here in Florida, but like Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, are you going to have, is somebody going to be sitting next to a stranger, and are they going to be paranoid about that?
Yeah.
But I also kind of feel like if you can't open the way that you need to get the maximum number of guests in, what's the point of opening if you're going to be operating at a loss?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's financial loss or not, but it would definitely be a quality loss. And I guess that's a good question. It's like, should they, if they can't give the full experience, should they reopen? But I guess the devil's advocate of that is that there's so many people, probably yourself included, that don't even care. They're just like, particularly these are annual pass holders. They want to get back in the park. They want to, enjoy that time. But when you talk about that versus day guest, a day guest trying to get into the park has got limited capacity. Everything is, slowed down because of all the precautions. You're not going to have the best experience. But the other side of that is like, who knows when the best time to open is? Like,
exactly. And like what, like even things like, what do parades look like and things like that? Like people on parade floats and as they're walking tend to be kind of close to each other. And when you're lining up for the parades, like you're sitting there, is everybody going to be like, I'm just picturing everybody like 6 feet apart and then like here, standing up, like you can't do that. And what I honestly think is going to happen is we may see some changes with dining. And we may see slower load-in times. Like, I'm going to guess what you're going to get is going to be about 6 months where everybody's going to be kind of paranoid about everything. So you're going to have, like, let's use Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. The car unloads and you have cast members come in really quick with like a sanitizer bottle, spray it down really quick, and then everybody gets back in. But I think, one of the blessings and curses of being a human is that people tend to forget things quicker than we like. People are going to be so excited to get back to normal that they're going to say, forget this. Now, I do think that you may see people wearing face masks. And like, obviously I've spent a little bit of time in Asia, and over there, it's standard that if you're not feeling well, or if you have like a little cough, that you wear a face mask. And I think that is a very good safety precaution that over here in America that we've always kind of made fun of, and I think that that's going to be here to stay.
I think so.
Like if you're not feeling well, you have to go out. I think you'll be wearing a face mask, and it's not going to be seen as a weird thing.
Yeah, it was definitely viewed as like, wow, these people are like getting carried away or over exaggerating or blowing out of proportion. That was definitely the American perception of Asians from Asia wearing face masks, and no, I think that's definitely going to be the norm. But you made me think of something that I think is worth bringing up is when anyone goes to the parks, adults, kids, whatever. typically it's to escape reality, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think you're right. I think a lot of people are going to return to the parks and not be as careful as you would think. But I think the procedures and practices by management in the parks are going to be super intense once people come back in, and I think that might almost be permanently. I don't know if we can really shake this as a culture or the world. I don't think things are going to go quote unquote back to normal ever. I think this is
right.
like a normal part of life is not spreading sicknesses at all costs. So, like you said, maybe no crowding around for parades, buffets, which always seem like a risky endeavor to begin with. I think it's the end of buffets and stuff like that. They'll have to bring it out each serving you want at one at a time, I guess, for the unlimitedness or all you care to eat element. But it's going to change literally everything.
But I think that the guest flow in the parks may naturally be a lot lower. I think, remember after like 9/11 and after the stock market crashed in, 2008 or 2009?
Mm-hmm.
People stopped going. People still win, obviously, but you're going to get people in general who are going to be like, you know what, I really don't feel like going there today. Or I don't really feel like being in that crowd, or I'm scared to be on a plane with somebody who could be sick. Like it's going to take a while before people get used to travel again.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to make a difference here between Walt Disney World and Disneyland. I think that a lot of people that would have gone to Walt Disney World in the next calendar year are just not going to be able to do it, like financially. Yeah. That was like that. That's not a necessity. Obviously, now we can't swing this anymore. I think you're going to see a big dip in attendance just based on that alone, since so much of that foot traffic is tourist.
And they're trying to do their 50th anniversary. They're gearing up for that too.
Yeah, I guess it would technically start January of 21. I don't. Is that?
Sure.
I think that's when the celebration is supposed to start. So, actually, I don't know. It's probably going to start on the actual anniversary. I don't think it would start before that, which is in October, right? Yeah, October 1st, 21. So there's still time for people to make it back, for attendance to make a somewhat return by that point. Maybe. I mean, we're still speculating because we don't know how long they're going to be closed. That's the really determining factor of how long it's going to take to get things back to normal.
And if you look at, what did I hear? Like that Disney World is losing $30 million a day right now. And they have been closed now for a month, almost a month. As of today, I think, when did they close? They closed on like the 11th or something around that time. So they've been closed for a month. They've been losing $30 million a day from what I heard. This makes me really wonder. Obviously, there's certain attractions that are in the middle of being built, like Guardians and Tron. Ratatouille is pretty much done. I don't think we're going to hear any new attractions being announced beyond this for a couple of years.
Yeah, probably not.
Because I was convinced that we'd be hearing about a new park, and they may still ultimately announce that.
We do have a bet going, I believe.
Yes, we do. In 2021, like on the 50th anniversary, and they could still theoretically announce that, but not even really get to work on that for a little while. They could just say, "Look, we're still doing the site plan," So it's kind of a weird thought, and I'm worried that the things that they are building, such as Tron and the Guardians ride, are going to get kind of nerfed a little bit. Like, even though the track is built and the system is built, are the effects going to be kind of lowered for cost purposes? And as entertainment in the park, walk around entertainment and shows, are they going to be smaller? Or like the fireworks show, is that going to shrink down a little bit, just ways to save cost? Also raising the prices of the ticket, of course.
Yeah, I know that'll happen. I mean, I couldn't even speculate how to swing that one or what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. But to flip side of what I was saying about Walt Disney World, I think that at Disneyland, attendance is not going to be affected. That's just my prediction.
No, I think when the first day that they reopen, I think they're going to hit capacity because so many people are going to be so thankful that it's reopened again.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I know me personally, I'd be staying far away the parks on that day.
Yeah.
I'm a claustrophobic person, so I've really been enjoying social distancing. It's like, I'm good on that whenever that is. I mean, I'm dying to get back to the parks just like everyone else, but
I'm dying to take you on Mission Space.
Mission Space.
I'm dying to take you on that. You told me because you're so claustrophobic, you will not do that one.
I was like, yeah, no, that was sad. Like, I don't recall the conversation where I agreed to go on that. No Mission Space for me. But well, let's. I mean, there's not much else really to say besides speculation. But on this, I mean, it's who knows? I mean, even the Avengers campus was to open in DCA in July, and they even had an opening date. And then they just announced that's just pushed back TBA till
because they don't even know when they're going to reopen, and the ride for is pretty much done. But it's like, let's say you're not even allowed to open until July 1st. You really want to be trying to funnel a new ride, a week after you reopen. You can't. You have to learn how to theme park again.
Yeah, for sure.
Like there's so many moving parts. And then, another factor, especially like here in Florida, is you have a lot of people who are college students that have moved away. Like I know a lot of people that I worked with in my restaurant that said, you know what, I'm going to go back home now. I'm done, because they're younger and in college. Right. And so when you reopen, Disney World has 75,000 cast members. They'll be lucky if they have 50,000. I mean, I have heard that like over in Orlando, it just emptied out. Like all the people who lived there, like temporarily, just left because they went back home. You have a ton of college students who are like, I'm going to go and spend a semester working at Disney while we're closed. I'm going to go back to Indiana and live with mom or what have you and not pay any bills because I can't make anything. So
because I can't even work because I'm a college student. Yeah, that's obviously the best decision.
But then it's like, well, we need to reopen this place. Where is everybody? How do we hire everybody back if everybody left? There'll
definitely be a big chunk that left. I don't know if everyone left. And I know, that they were paying them a lot of the cast members, and that's going to be ending soon. So there's a lot of operational concerns.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm going to say that Florida, for unemployment, we have some of the lowest payment for unemployment. We get $275 a week. But then if you choose to take the taxes out, which is what most people do, you get $221 a week. And the website is so archaic that it crashed. Now, tomorrow, I believe, or 2 days from now is the day that like Disney employees can all get on there. And they're expecting like the whole system is just going to get destroyed because of how many thousands of people tens of thousands are going to file.
Wow, it starts tomorrow as of this recording. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, let's shift topics slightly a little bit here and talk about what you've been dealing with today.
Okay. Yes. So this is kind of like a year ago. I want to point this out. Like, I have hotel reservations that I made in June for Airbnb. June of 2019.
Wow.
If anybody's listening to this backdated, and my mom, my little brother, my wife, his wife, and my 3 nieces who are 6, 4, and 1.5. We're all going to do a Japan trip because he wanted to take his kids somewhere nice. So we said, let's go and get a whole Airbnb. Let's go and be there in time for, Super Mario opening and all that. And ironically, the thing that's weird about us recording today on April 15th is today was the original intended opening date of Beauty and the Beast at Tokyo Disneyland.
Oh, wow.
And this was a big area. This is not just Beauty and the Beast. This was going to be Beauty and the Beast, the Baymax spinner ride, which is like Mater's Jamboree or whatever that thing is called.
Jamboree.
Yeah, or the Alien Sitting Saucers.
Yeah.
A new mini meet and greet where she's a fashionista, and a giant new show, like complete with a new theater, like the Mickey and the Magical Map. So a bigger production show.
So it's like an expansion of Fantasyland, basically?
Yeah, it was basically a whole new half of Fantasyland that they were building. Like, giant expansion. So today was the day that was supposed to open. Now, this trip that I had booked, and, I'm talking about this because I'm sure lots of families right now have trips planned, for Disney World and things, and or other places, and they're now struggling with, I'm having to cancel all my plans right now because of I don't know if I can go somewhere or if I'll have the money or if the things are going to be open.
Yeah, any of those are a concern.
So we were watching this thing, and in January we were like, oh yeah, this will definitely be passed by then, and then February was kind of getting a little more concerning when they closed down Hong Kong and Shanghai. And then very beginning of March, they closed down Tokyo. And then they said, well, we're going to reopen it in April. And we're going, okay, well, we're still good. There's no need to panic. Because keep in mind, we have a lot of tickets for things bought. And a lot of this is through, third parties. Because, for example, Universal Studios Japan, you cannot go on their website and buy it. Over there, you buy your tickets either in person or at their version of a 7-Eleven. Their 7-Elevens sell Disney tickets and Universal tickets. They kind of function like an old school Ticketmaster where you would have to go into the music stores.
Yeah.
They kind of function like that. So I had to buy all the stuff online. Well, we're watching this, and then, of course, middle of March hits, and then the United States is in this whole thing, and, we're all going into lockdown, and I'm talking to my brother and my mom and saying, okay, well, look, we should be good by June. We should be good. And then Disney announces, well, look, now we're going to reopen on April 15th. Tokyo Disneyland opens up, and that's when a Disney park closes and reopens is typically the sign that things are good. If you watch the Imagineering story, they talk about after the earthquake and typhoon, I believe it happened in 2008 or something like that.
Yeah, the late
the one
first whatever time period we call
it.
Yeah,
the one that basically destroyed a lot of Japan. When they they held off on reopening, even though they were good to reopen the next day, they held off on reopening for several weeks out of respect. But it's kind of seen as when a Disney park reopens after something like that, it's seen as it's an all clear sign. So I said, look, as long as it's open, it's all good. So now we're going to fast forward a little bit further to the very beginning of April. And then they say, well, look, now we're going to reopen. We're aiming for April 30th to reopen. And then the other shoe dropped where the Japanese, the president of Japan said that there are no, visitors are allowed from other countries there, but you have to go into a 2-week quarantine before you can leave, and it has to be mandated by the government. They're going to watch everything. They're going to make sure that you don't leave. You can't just say, oh yeah, sure, I'm going to quarantine, and then the very next day hop on a subway and get on over to Disney or Hello Kitty World.
Just to be clear, As soon as you arrive in Japan, you have to spend 2 weeks in quarantine.
Correct. Yes, I want to make sure that you are not a carrier. So, at this point, I'm getting very nervous about how things are going. And as of, I want to say about the 10th or 11th, was when they said, okay, well, we are going to announce the opening date for Tokyo Disneyland by middle of May. And at this point, that's when things became way too close for comfort. And I said, look, this trip that we're supposed to do like on June 15th is just not going to, I mean, there's so many factors. Like the parks could reopen, but Americans may not be allowed. It could get worse over here in America. I may not be allowed to leave Florida. My family who lives in California, they may not be allowed to leave California. Or the parks could be open and we could be able to travel there, but they could delay the opening of Beauty and the Beast and the Nintendo World over at Universal. Mm-hmm. So, what I talked to him about is, his kid is going into first grade, and over in California, the school starts around August 19th or so. So we pushed it from mid-June to, I want to say it was like July 4th to like last week of July, first 2 weeks of August. So it's actually been expanded a little bit, so we have a little bit more breathing time over there. Mm-hmm. Like obviously how I kind of vacation and how we're doing like a ton of stuff, and I purposely built in 3 days where in case we didn't get to something or we just need a break from each other, we can do that. But you see, the headache now for me is I'm having to email all these companies that I bought tickets for because all these tickets are specifically dated. And say, look, I need to kind of move these to these other days. And, a lot of these tickets say things like, no refunds given. So I'm waiting on like 5 or 6 emails that I probably won't hear from until like 4 a.m. because of time zone differences as to if it's okay. Now, I'm pretty sure that they'll allow it because I'm not like, flat out canceling anything.
Right.
But, it's this weird thing because, my brother, we all had to pick new dates at work. And it's also kind of weird going like, let's say we get back to work and it's June 1st. Like, let's say like this thing gets lifted on June 1st and I'm able to get back to work. It's going to be really weird going on vacation a month and a half later. Like, hey, sure. I'm back. But, it's not like this is a vacation. I've been home for a month and, I'm pulling my hair out. Like, I like being around people. I'm a social person. So it's a really weird situation right now, and it's just like I have this like crazy itemized list on my computer of what I need to get done, what I need to make sure I can change, what I need to get my money back on, and a lot of this I've been fighting with like Airbnb and stuff with the host because we had a couple of hotels bought, and one of these was one of these isn't covered still, so I have to wait. They said, I called them. They said, you have to wait until we lift or until we expand the cancellation fee. Otherwise, I'm out $400.
Wow.
But then this big one that I had for $1,600, the guy actually tried rebooking me for the same time next year because he didn't want to lose the money that I had paid into it. And I like refused to do that because I don't want some guy across the world like taking my vacation time for me.
Wow. He just did it without asking you. He just changed it to a year later.
Yeah, he just said, I will hold your money as is my right. And it's like I told the Airbnb company, and they said, no, he is not allowed to do that. And it's like I feel bad because these guys are, they were counting on that money coming in because what they do is they take half your money up front and then they get the other half after you've landed.
I don't know how Airbnb works as a host. I mean, I've used it many times as a guest, and you get charged up front for the total cost.
On this one, because it's international, and it was like a whole house deal, it was you pay half up front and half at the very end. So yeah, it's like it's a battle trying to deal with that and sort all these other things out. And it's kind of like I feel for a lot of people because I know several people who are planning on going like from other states I've lived in that were planning on doing Disney World this year. And they booked their plane, and they booked their hotel, and they had their plane tickets and all that stuff, and all their Disney dining, because, you can make those reservations way the heck in advance. Yeah. And now it's a headache because you're trying to, go through all of your emails and try to undo all the damage that you've already done.
But the hardest part is that you're trying to undo it, but you don't know what you want to change it to.
Exactly. And, I didn't even get into that. So I'm aiming for these dates, and that's what we've chosen, and the plane tickets have been rebooked and all that. But, we could get to the beginning of July, and we still may not be allowed over there. Or it could still be the same situation as we are now. And then I have to cancel and rebook all this stuff again for a year from now. And so it's weird. It's like the Schrodinger's vacation. It's like the vacation that exists, but it doesn't exist at the same time. Yeah. And it's hard because it's there's more things I have to do for this trip, more admission tickets I have to buy, and Disney and stuff. Obviously I'm not buying anything else until we know we can get over there and things are reopened again. But it's weird. They've said, and Universal said that they're going to make their announcement on May, by mid-May as to when they are reopening.
The Japanese Universal Park, right? That's what you're talking about. The one in Japan, the Universal Park.
Yeah. I'm referring to Japan I'm referring to both Disney and Japan, that they said by mid-May we'll have our opening date set. But you don't know when that'll be. That could be July 1st for all we know. They could say, well, we're not opening up again for another month and a half. And the only thing that gives me kind of a little hope with all this is, as of today, you can now buy lottery tickets at 7-Eleven over in Japan, or their version of it, it's called Lawson over there, to be the first people to ride the main Nintendo ride, the Super Mario or the Mario Kart ride.
Mario Kart, yeah.
So if you want to be the first people to ride it, they are doing a lottery, and each ticket is 700 yen, which is about $6 or $7 in United States money. And
is that include admission to the park?
No, but it's a brilliant way, to make extra money for nothing. If you think about for being closed, because all these people are going to be oh, I want to go there and be the first people to ride this.
Yeah.
So people are going to throw down. They're going to get a ton of money. So that and this is only running for a week or two. So that tells me that they're going to be pretty much up and running sooner rather than later. Because you wouldn't be running this promotion if, you wouldn't start running a promotion today if you weren't planning on getting that ready to go.
For sure. I mean, there definitely is nothing like that going on in the United States. I mean, at Universal Hollywood, they were just about to open the Secret Life of Pets attraction, and that's just on hold.
Or Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway, that only was open for 8 or 9 days before the whole thing.
Wow, that's short. That's crazy. I remember you mentioning that last time.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm going to circle back a little bit here. Is there a reason that you guys decided to not cancel the trip or push it back to next year?
Okay, so the reason that we decided not to cancel the trip was, with little kids especially, they're excited because, I kind of told my nieces that this is way better than Disneyland, which is true. And of course that for them is their ultimate thing. So they've been very excited. My brother he's never done a giant vacation since he's been married and had kids. So he's been looking forward to this. And the other thing is with all the plane tickets and all the money, the US dollars that have already been turned into yen, it's just a pain in the butt to say, well, let me try to undo all this stuff right now.
Okay.
And, if we said, well, let's try to push it back to next summer, because we already have plans, basically from May until the middle of June, we don't necessarily want to hit the time that the Olympics have been rescheduled for.
When is that? Did they?
I believe July of next year.
Oh, okay.
So the other thought is I had read that Japan's economy is tanking really bad right now. And this is a way to kind of help bring a little tourism over there. And I know that these parks are, they're expecting that these parks are going to be a lot more empty. And it's not necessarily just Disney and Universal, that they'll probably be fine, but these smaller ones like Sanrio Pearl Land or, like Fuji Q Highland and like these other ones that most people don't know what they are, like Yomiuri Land, that they may have a harder time because you're still going to get a segment of people out there who live over there that just because things are open doesn't mean that they want to be out in a large crowd.
Yeah, sure. That's going to happen for a while.
So if we get over there, it may actually, as weird as this is, work kind of in our favor a little bit as far as lower crowds.
Wow. There's just so many variables, dude. Who the hell knows?
There's so many variables. You see what I mean? Like, there's a lot of variables that are, it's like I'm having to move things and deal with all these people. And like a lot of these companies are closed down right now. So I'm emailing people that may not even be in their office or checking their email for a while.
Wow. And you literally have been doing all this today. So you're just kind of starting this journey of pushing everything back.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of refiguring it. And then I have to figure out like what day, because we're leaving on a different day of the week. Like certain things are closed certain days of the week there. Like their zoo over there, like the big zoo that they have over in Tokyo with pandas and stuff, that's actually closed on Tuesday. So I have to make sure that like I can't put that day on I have to play around with different days of the week for things.
So in case other people don't know from other episodes, when you go on your international trips, usually you're the one in charge of the planning and the scheduling.
Correct.
And that's usually just for you and Brittany, but you have a whole clan of people there that are on your shoulders.
There's eight of us, so there's actually a little more pressure on me because my brother was like, okay, cool, this is what I want to see, and he listed like 2 things. And I was like, okay, we got those on there. And my mom's just kind of going along for the ride. And it's like, okay, so basically if this sucks, it's on me.
Well, I as much as they may want to, you can't hold you responsible for Tokyo.
No, they wouldn't. But it's just, it's weird because I have to kind of being that I have all the paperwork, I have to kind of reorganize everything. And it's like this for families who are going anywhere, like things to Hawaii or people who have cruises booked, I know several people who had a cruise that left from Miami. Like I have uncles who were going to go on like a malt shop oldies cruise.
Oh,
like it's people that were popular in the 50s, which is crazy because it's like the Sha Na Nas and stuff like that.
Wow.
So you have these people who are basically in their late 80s, early 90s still performing. And they're on a cruise ship.
Late 80s.
What do you think about, like 1955?
You're right. They're
2020.
it's getting up there.
You had to be at least, let's say, 15 when you had your first radio hit.
Right.
You have these people who are still. Oh, sorry. Where I was going to go with this is like they had a trip planned in June. They're clearly not going on that cruise anymore because they don't feel comfortable, even if it's lifted, getting on a plane and then dealing with. So they have to deal with the plane, the cruise, the transportation to the cruise, their hotel beforehand, and then I think they were spending a couple days of tickets there. So it's like, you look at that aspect, and then you also look at the aspect of these businesses that have already gotten the money, and now that they have to do refunds for everybody, and it's like, well, there goes everything for everyone.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting road to navigate, and hopefully, the government helps out a lot of these businesses. Are they able to get small business loans or big business loans? I don't know, depending how big they are, and navigate this stuff. We don't know what the landscape's going to be on the other side of this. We just really don't know.
We don't know what the landscape's going to be like a week from now.
No.
Like a week from now, Japan could reopen everything to. Actually, they're now getting to the point that we were when this started kind of going off a little bit over here. Even though they got it first, I think they almost quarantined a little too well. And then when everybody started getting out and about, then they started getting another wave of people getting it. So there's a lot of like, and this isn't the time or place for the opinions I've been reading from people online. There's a multitude of opinions of how people think that we should proceed. From everybody needs to stay inside for a year, or we need to just go down to herd immunity and reopen to everybody, and then whatever happens, happens.
So I don't think either of those are the way to go. But like I said, we're not going to debate those topics on this
we're
show.
not. No, that's not what this is. But I'm just. It's that my point is. My point being is we don't know what things are going to look like a week from now. Nonetheless, a month from now or 2 months from now, and everybody here who's actually stayed along for this show for this length of time, you must be a theme park fan, or do you have nothing else to listen to on your podcast to listen to me ramble on about?
Well,
a script memory book.
Yeah, you're like, back on topic of theme parks, and trips and all that stuff. Did you? I assumed you had other plans in the works. Listeners don't know. You usually are going somewhere every few months. How has this impacted the trips you're planning after this trip to Tokyo?
Okay, so the thing is I actually only have 2 trips planned. Which one is in late September, very beginning of October, for my brother's wedding, which that's up in the air right now because of this. Mm-hmm. He wants it to happen, but it's very hard to make a wedding happen when you can't go to the venues. You cannot go and do cake tasting. You can't do the tasting of what food you want. And people right now, with everybody being locked up and scared, this isn't the time you want to be getting a save the date. And like, it's like, or, are you going to be having chicken, fish, or beef, or vegetarian?
Right,
you don't want to make it. So he has said that he is still, he's waiting to see how things basically roll over the next month before he makes any hard decisions. But regardless, I'm still going to go to California for a week because I still need to see my family. But the other thing I have planned is the transatlantic cruise in May.
May of 2021. May of 21.
Yeah. So that hasn't been impacted at all yet. And honestly, I am not thinking about that until we get through this next thing. I'll throw money out a little bit here and there, but like once I get back to work, I'll start knocking that down. But that's all I have. But it's kind of weird because, yeah, you're right. I like to do things. I'm somebody who likes to be social and see things I haven't seen. And, it's just, there's nothing for me to, like, there's no point in me even researching things to do right now because you can't even like look at the websites properly for these things as to like what the prices are, what the admissions are, what there is to do, because everything is covered with warnings that we're closed and like you can't even access websites properly.
Are you finding that? Because I find that I'm still able to kind of go to websites. Just the homepage has warnings.
Yeah, you get, but with some of the more foreign websites, the Google Translate sometimes has a harder time with some of these things.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's strange. It's a strange time. It's like, I know for you, for example, you normally like to try to get to Disney World once a year.
Yeah, in the fall time. Yeah.
Has this impacted you going this fall?
Well, that's really interesting. I mean, the real, like, deal breaker, I guess, of what is safe and what's not safe in the fall in Orlando would be if Halloween Horror Nights is canceled or not, at Universal.
Oh, yeah. And how do you do that? Actually, how do you do that in a post-COVID?
I have no idea. I mean, how do you have Halloween Horror Nights? It's social distancing. How do you have haunts?
Yeah, how do you do it? I mean, it might be more interesting, like, having everybody go through it, and then somebody's going to scare you from 6 feet away?
Well, I mean, they might actually have actual pulsing in the attractions, I mean, in the haunts, instead of the conga lines, which would take more time, of course, but a much better experience. As far as I know, and as of this recording, Horror Nights is all in Orlando is full steam ahead. And other than that, I've been hearing Knott's Scary Farm over here at Knott's Berry Farm is full steam ahead as well. That's the only things I've heard. I haven't even heard anything about Horror Nights Hollywood. But those two events, arguably the two of the biggest in the country, are full steam ahead. But I guess that's kind of where I'm at right now, because if Horror Nights Orlando is canceled, that would kind of set the tone to say that this is not a trip that I should be taking. That doesn't mean that just because it is going on, there's not other factors that won't keep me away. But as of right now, I'm just playing it by ear. If only for something to look forward to. Whether I actually go or not, I can't even comment on that at all.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you want to be able to look forward to things, and that's kind of what's keeping me through this. It's like, cool, now I have a trip at the end of July that I really want to do. Yeah. That's kind of what keeps me going, okay, look, we'll get through this. But unfortunately, when you get to 2 months beforehand and it's getting worse, okay, well, there's not much hope there for that time, but pushing things off an additional 45, 50 days helps a lot.
For sure. One of the things I brought up, because there was this hoax article that went around last week in some groups I'm in that said that Scary Farm was canceled. But
April Fool's stuff, right?
It wasn't even April Fool's. I guess that would have been an April Fool's joke, but it was like a week after. It was literally last week, so like a few days after April Fool's. Maybe that's when it started, but I started seeing it last week. Is when you click on the link, it says this is fake, blah blah. But the preview was, of the article says, Knott's Scary Farm canceled, blah blah blah, and a lot of people were sharing it without reading it, and it got a little steam in the haunt community groups I'm in on Facebook. So it just got me thinking, if it were actually canceled, that in Southern California, haunt season is such a huge deal. I know it's not as big in Orlando. Orlando basically just has, Horror Nights, and then they had the Dark Horizon, which
was awesome.
Which you experienced. But in Southern California, from the big places to the smallest home haunts, haunt season is something that Southern California takes very seriously. And if that were canceled this year, I thought of the idea. I was like, you know what? They could have haunt season from January to March, and everyone would still go. And it'd be interesting to see if that type of thing would happen in Orlando with Horror Nights, particularly, even with Not So Scary, because Not So Scary is a huge moneymaker for Disney too. So what if we just celebrated Halloween from January to March?
Right.
It's not really so much about celebrating Halloween as more as just being able to have these after hours events that generate money that people want to go to, instead of canceling it for a whole year. That would be such a blow. I don't even if they just had no Halloween events this year. It could be a reality. Like I said, we have no idea. It's not.
The parks have to be reopened first.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I honestly don't think that the maze is anything now that I've been thinking about it a little bit longer. I really think that we're just going to be at that point for a while where everybody's wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And you're still going to be close to each other, but you're going to see more people washing their hands more frequently. You'll see more hand sanitizer. Yeah. I really don't. The more I kind of think about it, the more I think there's no way to mitigate a parade or mitigate a ride and have, say, look, we're going to have you stand 6 feet apart from each other in a line. That's impossible to do. The queues aren't designed for that. Parade routes aren't designed for that. So I think you're going to see more people wearing face masks. You're going to see a lot more people just doing better general personal hygiene.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. I hope that's the takeaway we all have from this, is that we take our not spreading our sicknesses a little more seriously.
And then maybe when we start hearing about things, we start taking it a little more seriously.
Yeah, let's hope that one is too. Yeah, instead of just going, it's not a big deal, or that's another country's problem, because
it'll be like storm watch over here in Florida, where people will start kind of like paying better attention to what's going on.
Yeah, well, it's fun. It's like, should I leave for hurricane? Should I not? I mean, that's always a gamble too, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was historic that I was around when the parks were closed for one day during that hurricane 2 years ago.
Yeah. And here we are in a freaking month.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that kind of, we can put a pin in this topic for now. Any breaking news, of course, we'll have, information on our social media and whatever press releases the parks put out, we share it, on our website and, link it up on social media. So you'll hear the kind of, up to the minute information. Just wanted to have a moment just to, just kind of riff on, just our thoughts, Grant and I's thoughts on this, and just kind of hear about the process of trying to reschedule a vacation in the middle of all this. Sounds like a lot of fun.
I also want to kind of encourage everybody, when it's time to get back to work and everything is kind of given the clear. Obviously, do a lot of vacationing over here in the States because you want to rebuild the economy, but places that also rely on tourism more than locals, such as like Hong Kong, Shanghai, and like Dubai and places like that. The plane ticket deals and hotel deals are going to be insane. Like, I'm seeing flights to Shanghai round trip for $420 from Orlando.
From Orlando? Wow.
From Orlando.
From California.
Non-stop out. But I'm just saying, you're seeing these deals are out there, and it may be the time to go and do some of that crazy exploring that you never thought you would do because of how cheap everybody's having to kind of gut their deals. So if you can, if you have money saved up for something, definitely go and still do some stuff over here in the U.S., but maybe kind of divide a little 50-50 and kind of explore and learn about the world a little bit more.
The world of theme parks. I guess there's other stuff besides theme parks, but maybe some local culture. Maybe want to
you can do both, though. You plan your trip around the theme park, and then you learn the local culture around that theme park.
Sounds like exactly what I would do.
Yep.
All right, let's put a pin in this one. I want everyone continue to stay safe, and hopefully we can keep entertaining you to keep you sane during this lockdown time.
Whee!
This podcast has been a production of the Creepy Kingdom Podcast Network. Executive produced by James H. Carter II and Ryan Grulick. Visit creepykingdom.com to get access to all of our articles, videos, and podcasts. Join our Patreon for exclusive content. Patreon.com/creepykingdom. Until next time, this is Hannah reminding you to keep it creepy.